Welcome to the Money Hour with host Tina Mitchell. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, NMLS 134871. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Highlands Residential Mortgage Limited. Now, in the studio, local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, March 5th show. You can also listen to my podcast, Facebook premiere show, or you can catch the show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on any of my upcoming events, please go to TinaMitchellEvents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events and how they can affect your money. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions, or more important, to connect you with the two guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com. And now the lineup for today's show, I will be having a panel conversation with both of my guests, Stacy Heller of Stacy Connects and Karen Moffitt of Little Miss Moffitt. I'll also have a conversation with Stacy, doing what makes your tail wag. Followed conversation with Karen, the journey of starting a business from scratch, pun intended. Also, if you're watching the show on Facebook Premiere or the YouTube channel, I would like to give a shout out and an introduction to my producer over at Hubbard Radio, Benny.
Hi, Tina. Welcome back.
Thank you. I was on vacation for a couple weeks in Orlando, Florida with my granddaughter.
Lucky.
I know, Disney World and Universal Studios. Also, I want to give a shout out to my marketing director, Becky.
Hi, Tina.
Hello. I just like to do that each week because all of the things that happen behind the scenes absolutely could not happen with the two of them. So thank you again for everything that both of you do. Great information and great guests in studio. For more information on any topic discussed, please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online to themoneyhour.com. And now let's go ahead and start out the show as we do each week with a little bit of money chat.
Money.
Tina Mitchell here with your money chat. Volatility in the bond market came after Jerome Powell gave his semi-annual testimony in front of the House. He gave support for a 25 basis points hike instead of the 50 basis point hike. This means that the Fed is going to address inflation less, even in the face of rapidly rising, especially with oil now rising sharply at 113 a barrel. He also said that the Fed will need to be nimble and careful because of a highly uncertain geopolitical background. It brings into question if the Fed will have the resolve to continue to hike and tame inflation. As a result of the Fed appearing less aggressive, stocks rallied and bonds plummeted. It's been crazy in the mortgage industry, how the mortgage interest rates have been moving up and down. Now, because of the dollar remains the most accepted and stable worldwide currency, the international community uses it as a preferred currency for trading and purchases of goods and services. The world is currently witnessing a run off of the banks in Russia, and somewhat similar to what took place in the US immediately following the stock market crash of 1929. Citizens are flocking to ATMs or trying to pull out money to put into the US or Euro assets, which will protect them from the ruble declines. Recently, the ruble has seen significant declines, and these declines will have impacts in our global economy for quite some time. Russia is trying to prevent an outright collapse of the ruble by raising rates. The central bank rate went from 9.5% to 20% overnight, which is more than 1,000 basis points of hikes. And here in the US, we're only talking about a 0.25% hike in this month. This is a serious situation. Now, the Russian currency and the central bank, and it's kind of the jury's still out in how they're going to solve and what's going to happen with this. On another front, international job claims, which measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the first time, decreased 18,000 to 215,000. Continued claims, which are those that continue to receive benefits after their initial claim, increased 2,000 to 1.48 million, which is just off of the lowest since 1970. Claims are a very strong pre-COVID level, showing that the labor market remains tight. Now, in the housing news, pending home sales, which measures signed contracts on existing homes, fell 5.7% in January, which is weaker than expected. Last month's reading was revised higher, and when factoring in that, it's down closer to about 4%. Sales are now down 9.5% year over year. There is no doubt that higher interest rates could be impacting demand, but the real story here is the lack of inventory. There were only 860,000 homes for sale last month nationwide. If there were more homes for sale, there would be more sales. New home sales, which measures signed contracts on new homes, were down 4.5% in January at 801,000 units analyzed pace, which was much stronger than expectations of 8.6% decline. There was a positive revision in December reading, and when factoring that in, sales were down only around 1%. Year over year, sales down 19%. Now, with the rise in home prices, some buyers may think it's a better option to rent, but Apartment List released their February national rental report showing that rents rose 0.6% in February, which is a reactualization after the fewer months are slowing down increases. Now, on a year over year, rent bases are now 17.6%, almost matching the rise in home price appreciation. Rents can continue to rise on renewals each year, which are currently going up 6 to 8%. Renters also do not get to see the benefit of amortization, the amortization on appreciation or on the appreciation. So call to action, homeownership is a great investment. And that is your money chat. Coming up next in the Money Hour panel conversation with Stacy Heller of Stacy Connects and Karen Moffitt of Little Miss Moffat right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, March 5th show. You can also listen to my podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch the show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on upcoming events, please go to tinamitchellevents.com. I am your host and local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. It is a great day to talk about money, and that is what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you are hearing my show at a different time of day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online to themoneyhour.com. And now on our show panel conversation with both of my guests, Stacy Heller of Stacy Connects and Karen Moffitt of Little Miss Moffat right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Welcome to both of you on the show.
Thank you. So excited.
Yeah, Stacy, it's good to have you back. And Karen, first time in studio. Really appreciate you coming in. Excited to have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
So my first panel question, and Stacy, I'm going to go ahead and start out with you. What life experience brought you into your line of work?
I always say that I can't help what it is that I do. And I think as a little kid, I was constantly trying to translate the world around me and make sense of it and make connections that I understood. So it's a lot of translation of what I see, potential I see. And I remember doing it with children's books all the time as a kid, saying, this is how I feel, and citing examples with books that I read. And so it's not a life event per se, but it's definitely a way that I saw that I was able to make those connections.
Yeah, well, that makes total sense that you were a connector as a child, and that's what you do now. And I was talking before we actually started the official show here, was sharing with Karen that I've had an opportunity to do work with Stacy, have one-on-one conversations with her, and also see her with other people, and instantly, without knowing what's happening, coming up with these taglines and these phrases that, really, Stacy, you have a gift, and just seeing what you actually can do behind the scenes when you actually have preparation for that, just seeing what you do on the fly is really impressive. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Karen, what about for you? What life experience brought you into your line of work?
Mine honestly happened very much by accident. And by that, I mean, I do bake. I like to bake, and I did bake quite a bit. I have 4 kids, but it was more because I was giving it away a lot. And it kind of was more born out of that. It was my vehicle for giving, and most people seem to really enjoy a sweet treat. I always say, nobody gives cookies to somebody they can't stand. So it's usually such a positive thing that's kind of what was growing, was like, this is something I'd like to see take some action.
Yeah, well, I got one of your gifts when I invited you to come into studio. Immediately got a follow-up gift, and I'm actually really cautious not to eat sweets. It's a very special occasion that I actually do that, and not that I don't like them. I'm just 50 some odd years old. Eventually, at some point in time, you got to try to knock off something, right? But I went right into them, and they were so amazing. So I so appreciate that I actually had a special occasion to have special sweets. So thank you for that. And so, Stacy, how has being an entrepreneur helped you be a better biz person and in business in life over general?
Well, I think that my ability to make connections between seemingly unconnected things, or to speak in a language that my clients are trying to connect with their people, and I'm able to creatively translate ways for them to do that. And so that also then overflows into my personal life, where I like to joke, but I really mean I've never met an elephant in a room that I didn't want to befriend and talk to. And so the idea of being seen and making those connections, it is something that the world right now needs so much more of. And so it's definitely helped me from a business standpoint, because what I do is very unique, and from a personal standpoint, because this idea of recognizing that there's always more to the story and there is some way that we can connect with other people. I think it's a good skill to have and embrace.
Yeah, and I've seen you in action in our weekly networking. We're in a networking group together with BNI, and Stacy was the president for last year. And shout out to JD. JD's doing an amazing job serving as our president this year. But since this show is a segment's about you right now, just watching you really engage in the room and be your authentic self with just your humor and your empathy, and just bringing things out of people within the group within strategic time is really impressive. So Karen, Karen, how has being an entrepreneur helped you be a better person in business or life?
One of the coolest things to me would be to see how supportive the community is, and friends and fellow networking colleagues. So what it's given me is just this awareness, not that I didn't have it before, but I'd say it's certainly amplified, just the awareness of how many amazing people are out there truly looking to support each other. And I think when, and this is such a generic statement, but when you're punching in and out for someone else, maybe you may not have that same sharp focus or awareness on that because you don't need it as much. But when you're an entrepreneur, you really do turn to other people. And I likewise really appreciate when someone turns to me and says, I'm thinking of starting a food business. Can you help? And you just have this true connection of wanting to contribute to other people's success, but also truly valuing how many other people are helping you to get to that success. And that's just the most beautiful thing. So I'd say it's just made me a better person by being, so much more aware. And that goes both probably personally, but especially professionally.
Yeah, you just gave me goosebumps because it is so true, Karen. And one of the benefits of the show, I put the show together for the listeners first, my guests second, to be able to showcase their business, and then myself. But I feel like I'm first, and all the benefit I get in being able to interview industry leaders in their space and hear why they do what they do. And it's so true what you said, because I say my magic sauce is not connecting with others. It's then getting them connected to each other. That's really where the magic is. So thank you for that. Stacy, instead of what you do, what is an example of the work that you do?
All right. Perfect example. I was on vacation last week and heard that my niece and nephews are putting together a business, and they shared the name with me. And as I'm on the phone with them, I instantly came up with a logo design for them and shot it off to them. Just connecting things. Then I connected with the gal at Target when I was there, got into a conversation with her. She's an AT&T rep who makes empanadas and is trying to expand her business. Well, by the end of this half an hour conversation, I've created a logo. I have sent her to a place to buy her domain. I've sent her a place to get stickers, and I sent her another place that she should go for her business. So I just am constantly seeing ways that I can be of service to other people. In those cases, it happens to be logo and visual. It's not my expertise. It shows up in a lot of different ways, but that's a perfect example.
Yeah. And again, I can tell both of you, come from such a place of contribution. And that really is the magic about doing what we're doing, is being able to contribute to others. Our product and service that we sell, that follows when you come from a place of contribution and helping people. So Karen, what about you? Instead of what you do, what is an example of the work that you do?
Well, again, to reiterate to me, the real crux of my business, it's a baking business, but that's not what we're really about. We're about the giving business, the spreading positivity. We all say there's such a chaotic world out there at the moment, and there's probably more angst and anxiety and things like that. So an example is just when I see the notes that come through for the gifts I'm shipping, to know that there's so many people out there with really big hearts. We're sending hugs disguised as cookies. We're sending a smile to somebody who probably really needs it. And it's literally on a daily basis. When somebody tells me, I have people who receive a gift and they reach out to tell me, or people who sent them for corporate gifts that then reach out just to say the feedback they got. So what we do is we ship smiles. We bring positivity into somebody's day. And that's through whether it's corporate gifting, whether it's the e-commerce orders on the website, and quite frankly, if somebody picks it up wholesale, or retail for them at a pizza shop, it's putting a smile on somebody's face. And in this world today, my God, there's not enough of that, is there? Or we certainly need more.
So true. Yeah, shipping smiles. I love that. I'm your local mortgage expert. I've been doing it for over a quarter century, but I also have a time management and business efficiency course. And it's not about the efficiency of business. It's about the quality of life. The why behind it is so that you can live the life that you want to do. You can contribute to your community that you want to contribute. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. All right, last panel conversation before we get into the next part of the show. Stacy, what is your favorite book and why?
Okay, I'm super excited about this. It is called Miss Rumphius, and I have it, and it is a book about a woman who grew up with her grandfather, and the advice that he gave her, because of course she wanted to be just like him. She said, I am going to live near the sea and I'm going to travel to faraway places. And he said, that's all well and good, but you also have to make the world a better place. And so when she got older and she reflected on her life and the fact that she lived by the sea and she had traveled the whole world, she was concerned that she hadn't left the world a more beautiful place. So she started putting on her walks, sowing lupine seeds everywhere. And so forever after that, her entire countryside where she lived was covered in lupine. And so this idea of planting seeds so that you leave something beautiful behind, I love that message.
Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. We put in the chat, Stacy, so Becky can pick that up. I want to make sure I get a copy of that. Karen, what about you? What is your favorite book and why?
That's nearly impossible. I read so much, and I read everything from great fiction, great autobiographies, as well as self-help. So I'm going to say I actually grabbed two that are particularly.
I like how both of you grabbed your books.
I did. So really, The Secret is just hands down. That's just wonderful. And it's one of those ones I keep in the nightstand and I just pull it out periodically. And the other is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Covey. It's just again, and it's timeless. I read it first, 15 years ago. And same thing, I'll pick it up and refresh on a chapter here and there because it's just so something to be cognizant of in every aspect, both personally and professionally. I can't say enough good things. I try and get my kids to read them. I don't know if they have yet.
Yeah. Well, you got to find out if they like to read paperback or Audible, because I really think you're either or. I definitely need Audible. For me to read in print is difficult for me to really visualize in the process. Yeah. And I'll give my favorite because I think it's a great book, Who Made My Cheese. It's a really easy read. It was the first book that I read when I got into my professional career, and a great story about mice and not getting stuck where the cheese is at, because the cheese is going to continue to move. And it really was an inspiration of starting in my philosophy, which I call One Time in Your Business, which is now a coaching program that I've had for 8 years. That was the start of it. And then The Compound Effect came shortly after that, which is a great book. And if you're watching the show right now, since we're talking about great books, I'd love to make an offer as your host. Go to TinaMitchellEvents.com if you want a complimentary of my book, Journey with Me, which is based on my journey in life, which got me to my personal and professional core practices. I'll make an offer to that. Would love to give you that as a gift. Well, thank you to both of you for being a part of the panel conversation. It's really great to get to know each of you more, and my listeners to get to know you before we get into your individual interviews. So coming up next in the Money Hour, doing what makes your tail wag. Stacy Heller of Stacy Connects right here on 1150 AM KKNW. You are listening to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, March 5th show. You can also catch my podcast, Facebook premiere, or you can catch my show on my show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on my upcoming events, please go to TinaMitchellEvents.com. I am your host and your local mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. I'm here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you are hearing my show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I'm here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or you can go online to themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, Stacy Heller of Stacy Connects, doing what makes your tail wag right here on 1150 AM KKNW. Stacy, just really excited to have a conversation with you again on my show because you're such a beautiful person, which is such an amazing gift.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I love that since coming on the first time, things have continued to evolve. So
I know, I'm so excited. And on that note, let me share a little bit about Stacy. After staying home to raise 4 stellar kids for 20 plus years, Stacy quit that day job and decided to turn her natural gift from calling up to creative ways to connect people and ideas into a business. Her ability to ideate and connect on behalf of others in clear, authentic messaging led to Stacy Connects. After saying yes to everything in the beginning, Stacy now primarily says no to protect her yes. Modeling her own advice to do what wags your tail, Stacy works with clients who are in need of 2 things. Number 1, someone to brainstorm creative ideas with real potential. And second, a voice to educate, enlighten, or entertain others. To learn more on Stacy, go to stacyconnects.com. Again, you can find information for Stacy on stacyconnects.com, where you'll find a full list of her programs. So Stacy, let's go ahead and get right into the first question, because as you said, you've been a guest before on my show and talking about your business, Stacy Connects. Remind my listeners about what you do.
So I think before, when I was on your show, I was really focused on the branding piece, and specifically with that. Since then, I have started to use my voice and help other people use theirs more. So I have my own 2 shows that I do, Don't Ask Me to Talk. And then starting here shortly will be the Stacy Heller Show. And I love the idea of edutainment, a little bit of education, a little bit of entertainment. And it is a way to make connection and have people realize that they have more in common than they realize. And that's the one piece of what I do. And then additionally, I work with clients who are trying to figure out how to articulate or how to talk about their business, whether it be visual with logos or their space or their content for website or maybe a logo or communication. I sit down with people and I brainstorm, and it's not a pretty analogy, but I essentially vomit ideas all over them.
It is pretty, because I've watched you vomit and ideas, and that's such I want to think of a better word, because you are just so good at just, again, these the words that you come up with in that moment is just a really beautiful thing. And I've also been able to see, because you made reference of how, branding, even in their space, I've seen what you've been able to do in people's offices, because people come in and meet with you in person in your office, and your office is part of your branding and how that office works. And I've seen some before and after, and the magical touches that you've brought in making adjustments there. So Stacy, since the last time that you were on the show, it's obviously you've done a lot of things with your business. So can you share how it's evolved and changed in more detail?
Absolutely. As I said in the beginning, I said yes to everything because I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew that I had something to say and that apparently people were willing to listen. And so I said yes a lot. And then I started to realize that where my tail wags is in the space of ideating, in the space of brainstorming, in the idea of collaboration and translation with my clients. And then in terms of the follow-up, I can connect them with people that can do these things. Oh, you need someone who is going to help you with your time management skills. You need to go see Tina Mitchell. Oh, you need to have corporate gifts and you're thinking of doing this. You need to go see Karen Moffitt. These ideas are things that I can then connect them with other people. So sometimes it is in my purview to be able to help them with things. Many times it's really the ideation and connecting them with the potential. And so it's a bit about learning boundaries is how my business has evolved, and recognizing that I should not leave my zone of genius, because it then just becomes my zone of competence. And why would I want to just do what I'm competent at? And 2, my tail doesn't wag as hard.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, you definitely have something to say and people are willing to pay, so I'm so happy that you've got a business that you're able to support your community, provide huge value, and as well, be able to run a profitable business, because when it's all said and done, we are in business to make money. But as I've said before, if you can lead with how you're helping people, you're bringing in your passion through your authentic, genuine gifts, that's when everybody benefits, including us at a high level. So Stacy, I love your title, Doing What Makes Your Tail Wag. It's so you. What does it mean to do things where your tail wags?
So I first started to notice this when our daughter Grace would try on clothes, and she was little, and she would try something on and she would do that little girl wiggle where it was like, oh, I love this. Or I would notice when my kids, somebody would put dessert in front of them and they would do that little like, ooh, ice cream. And it made me think of dogs and how when you're excited about something, it's an involuntary, very instinctual wag. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be simple if I just started following the things that make my tail wag? And I stopped doing the things where my tail's at attention or my tail has tension or whatever it is. Obviously, this is metaphorical. I do not have a tail. And
Thanks for disclosure there.
well, I just felt like I should have a filter that has like a tail behind me or something.
Oh, gosh.
But I just love this instinctual idea of following the thing that is very instinctual, and you can't help but love doing it. So that is where the do what makes your tail wag came from.
In my complimentary One Time Your Business 8-week burn course, a couple of the topics that I have, one being in, the power of no, learning what you should say yes to, and more importantly, what you should say no to, and also embracing your strengths and hiring out your weaknesses, really focusing on, as a business owner, the high level activities, but also focusing on only what you love to do. And I really believe that people wake up in the morning stressed out because they're doing things that they're not good at, or even worse, they hate to do. And time's too short not to focus on what you love to do and only what you love to do. That's what Stacy's talking about here.
Exactly.
So Stacy, what about the other things required to run a business? So you're doing a business that you're doing what makes your tail wag. And I love that you shared about your daughter and the why behind where that came from. So it's so true to understand that. But what else does it take?
Well, it takes recognizing that if I'm going to be focused in this area, this sandbox, doing the thing that I love to do, then I need to recognize that there are some areas that I still have to do. And so I have learned that I need to share the burden. So I now have a virtual assistant. Well, actually, I haven't hired her yet. Almost. I know, I'm very excited. I have also hired a bookkeeper. I have hired people and realized that investing in these roles,
Yes,
that allows me then to stop worrying about this. And then bills go out and are paid, et cetera, et cetera. And that takes so much stress off. I am, one of my obstacles, I'm doing air quotes, is ADHD. And so trying to stay focused on things, the nice thing is when you've got ADHD, you can also have the hyperfocus. So I can hyperfocus on the things that are good by outsourcing the things that are not so great for me to do.
absolutely.
And that it's not any kind of a statement about my abilities. It has nothing to do with that. And so that's the other thing, realizing that the word should needs to be taken out of my vocabulary as a business person.
Yeah. And, people ask me all the time, how can I be in the top 1% in the entire nation for mortgages, which by the way, was recognized in 2021 again, and run multiple businesses? And the answer is twofold: high efficiency and embracing my strengths and hiring out my weaknesses. I literally only do what I love to do, which means I'm great at doing it. So, Stacy, how do you zone of your genius and your services intersect? How does that all?
So at this point, what I have recognized is that my offerings are very simple. It's really an opportunity to brainstorm with me and to have that time, whether I have some clients that just want a creative board of directors, if you will. They're interested in thinking about, as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or a small business owner, they don't have somebody to kind of run things up the flagpole. And so they'll meet with me on a monthly or quarterly basis. I have other people that have hit a plateau with their business and they can't figure out how to start that incline again. And so we'll brainstorm ideas, and what they think is an obstacle, I see it as opportunity and I see potential. And I like to joke that it's like Pocahontas. It's just around the river bend. And people always think that it's so far away, and it's not. And so that is that zone of genius that I am really good at doing. And so really that's what my offering is. And then I take it from there. And if there's something that I can do to follow through, then I can customize what I do to that individual client and see where I can help them further and where I need to outsource for them as well.
Yes. So then it's safe to say, Stacy, that your two biggest offerings are ideas and your voice, correct?
100%.
Yeah. So do you worry that people won't like your voice or won't like your voice or listen to what you have to say? I mean, I don't know anybody that wouldn't like your voice, but do you have any worry there?
I think there's always worry that maybe people are going to get tired of my voice, like my mother.
Yeah.
However, I realize that it's the gift that I have been given and that ability to connect people. I love asking questions instead of making assumptions. And when you come from a place that is like that and a place of connection, then people don't get tired of your voice. They are curious to hear more and to learn. And I love that. And honestly, I'm at a point now where I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you outside of this space many times because we get together on a weekly basis in one of our networking groups that we're a part of. And you seem, obviously you're comfortable talking about anything and with anyone and everyone. Where are any limits there, Stacy?
Honestly, no.
I was going to say, I haven't seen any limits knowing you the way I know you.
No. And the person that I might be most people would be really intimidated by, I have found the best way to disarm someone. And frankly, from a safety standpoint, is engage them. Because if somebody has something nefarious up their sleeve, they don't want to be seen. So therefore, I see them.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Stacy. So what are your next 3 horizon points?
I think my immediate horizon point is to work on my website, which I'm very excited about doing. After that, it is really reaching a place with my clients where they continue to get me and the word gets out. And then the third thing is to write a book.
Oh, I'm so excited for that, Stacy. So as we're wrapping up our time, I'd love to give you, for you to give a shout out, a call to action for anyone that's listening to the show and how to connect with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. You can go to stacyconnects.com, check out my website. It's a work in progress, as I mentioned. Also, check out Don't Ask Me to Talk. It is my radio show that's here on KKNW. It's on Tuesdays from 3 to 4. It's also a podcast. And you can follow me on social media at Stacy Connects or DAMTT Show.
Thank you, Stacy. And
Thank you.
Shout out for Stacy. If you are not connected with Stacy and hearing her voice, you are missing out. So get connected with Stacy at Stacy Connects. I really appreciate you, Stacy, and look forward to having you back in the show. Look forward to getting invited on your new one.
Yes, of course.
All right, Stacy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next on the Money Hour, the journey of starting a business from scratch, pun intended. Karen Moffitt, Little Miss Moffitt, right here on 1150 AM, KKNW. Karen, thank you for joining my show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I didn't tell you, Karen is my little and my only sibling little sister's name. So love your name. So excited to have you in the show, and a little bit about Karen. Karen is the mom of 4 amazing young adults, 2 boys and 2 girls. As a single parent, she navigated challenges that ultimately gave her the confidence to believe in herself that she could start a business. Each of her children's unique path inspire her daily. That is so beautiful. To keep mentally and physically strong, Karen can be found running on local trails in a warmer weather. You can find her shedding the ski slopes in the winter. Karen is surrounded by an amazing posse of loving and supportive family and friends. So again, welcome to the show, and excited to have a conversation with you, Karen.
Thanks so much, Tina. Really happy to be here.
Yeah. So what got you started? And was it a half-baked idea, or share a little bit more about the inspiration behind opening your business?
It really was that I baked a lot because I had 4 kids. I tried not to buy so much processed stuff, but in doing so, I was baking and giving it to neighbors and friends whenever they had events and things like that. And people started asking, hey, could you make those brownies for my daughter's confirmation, et cetera? And I realized I was doing it more and more. And then people started saying, hey, you ought to make that a business. So it kind of grew from that, and just almost very organically, because my daughters created a logo, created a Facebook page, created an Instagram. Hey, mom, you got to like this. And next thing you know, my phone was blowing up with orders.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. Yeah, in the mortgage industry for over a quarter century, about over a decade ago, I hired a developing team to build out a mortgage software that is available for mortgage consultants throughout the nation. But same kind of story as giving it away. I had an Excel spreadsheet that I had a team built with massive coding to it. And I was just giving it to everybody. Mortgage consultants would say, how do you do the business that you do? Well, here's a great spreadsheet for presentation. And somebody came to me with a software developer and said, hey, this guy wants to talk with you. He wants to turn your Excel spreadsheet into an actual web-based software. So it's great. Again, we've kind of talked in the panel conversation about coming from a place of contribution. And when you contribute to others, things fall into place for you, and magical things come out of that. So excited to see that your giving sweets to your friends have turned into a business, which obviously connects to something that you're passionate about as well. So Karen, is there a strategic recipe for growth that you've followed?
I have primarily relied on relationship building, referral type relationship marketing. And that's, again, like yourself, in some networking groups.
Yeah.
And by building those relationships, it has just grown for me exponentially. I don't think my business would be here without that. You develop these relationships, you develop trust, and you ultimately become a go-to for companies and for individuals. And that's been just incredibly satisfying, which also means I take that very seriously, and I honor that. And I have an attention to detail. I would never want to let somebody down. So I take it very seriously, and with an enormous amount of gratitude.
Yeah. And if you're listening to the show, great advice, Karen. A lot of people sell B2B, or a lot of people sell B2C, business to consumer, or you have a business that's B2B. But this is really a shout out to people that sell B2C, which is business to consumer. Really, your primary focus needs to be in your B2B relationships, because those business professionals are the ones that are going to connect you with the consumers. And that's how you can really take your business to the next level, because great people like connecting great people, as we had a conversation around with Stacy around connection. So are there any special ingredients for, I love your questions that you came up and the words that you use, any special ingredients for success that you employ?
I am a firm believer of listening to podcasts and getting information from others. And one of the people I follow has this theory. It's Ed Milet, if anybody listens to him, of always do one more. So when you tell yourself, this week I'm going to make 5 calls every day for prospects, how about if you make 6 every day? And at the end of the week, you start to truly believe you deserve that success because you've worked a little harder, a little more, a little extra. So that would be one of them. Always do one more, whatever it is, bake an hour longer, run the extra mile if it's working out, whatever it is. I also believe you have to be your own cheerleader at times. And that's pretty significant when you're an entrepreneur, because it can be pretty lonely. You don't have the time to be hanging out with everybody. So there's times you really have to bolster your own self to get through, whether it's a slow time or not a great financial time, to just believe in yourself. You got this. So those would be 2 of the biggest.
Yeah, absolutely. In our panel conversation, one of your best books that you shared was The Secret. And, just what Karen is saying here, just one more, when you're doing your visualization, which you should, and your affirmations in the conversation, you don't like the word affirmation, find a word that works for you, because it's critically important to have conversations with yourself strategically, because otherwise you're only left with the unintentional conversations, which are majority percentage of that are not good conversations. But when you're having those conversations and saying that you're going to make $1 million or $500,000 or whatever your conversation is, or more. So kind of on the same, always add in or more or one more, as Karen's saying, do that activity and just one more. I love that. And then you're constantly pushing yourself and playing a game with yourself in what you can actually accomplish. Great advice, Karen. So what has been the most challenging part of your journey so far as being a business owner?
Sometimes that's hard to narrow down. So I know I thought about a few things, and it even just changed, I'd say, in the last week. Normally, I would say the financial part about starting from literally nothing, the time, and just having that inner confidence. Those were what I would have defined as the three biggest challenges. But really right now, the truth is, the way the world is, it's the escalating costs of everything, and trying to, it's really tough on a small business. It's really tough. And I talk to all my other friends in other businesses. So again, it's not specific to my industry by any means, but the costs that we're all managing right now in every single aspect. For me, for example, it's not just the ingredients, but it's the boxes, it's the labor, it's the ribbon, it's the labels, everything's gone up. And how do you manage that? I think there's this funny perception, you raise your price on something and they think you've gone and signed the lease for a new Lexus. It doesn't quite work that way.
Well, and I guess the positive side on it right now is everybody, knows that business. I mean, even the dollar store now, it's $1.25. I popped into the dollar store when I do events and stuff and get little, little swags, and I'll go in there. You've got a bunch of people that are coming to an event. I'll go check out the dollar store. But yeah, it was funny, $1.25. I was like, wow, even the dollar store now, they're going to have to change their branding in their name. So yeah, and it's got to be kind of a double-edged sword, because the people that are purchasing from you as well, everything is costing more. So a shout out on what Karen has to offer. When you're doing those connections, you're making people, you want to make people feel extra special. What you don't want to cut out of your budget is you don't want to cut out that extra, which is the sweet gift that they're getting delivered, because I think that is the most important in your marketing, is what are you sending out that is making people feel that they're special because we have this. So encouraged to really look at that when you're seeing where you can save cost, that it's not there. So Karen, what has been the most fulfilling part of your journey so far as a business owner?
Probably the single most fulfilling would really just be knowing that my kids are proud of me. And I know that's probably sounds funny. I don't have a spouse. So, well, I don't have a spouse cheerleader, which don't care. I'm not griping about that, but I will say, having my kids tell me, and especially my daughters are probably the more articulate of the children, telling me that I'm really proud of what you're doing, Mom. You're doing such an amazing job. I can't believe this started almost by accident. Look at where you've taken it. Wow. That brings tears to my eyes and literally makes my heart want to, expand out of my chest. So that is just incredible to me.
Well, I've had a husband for 27 years. And when my book came out, and my son was one of the first ones to read it, and, my daughter, and how proud she always, absolutely, when my husband says he's proud of me, it's like, oh, yeah, thanks. But when your kids do, and now we just had our first grandbaby, she's only a year, but I can't wait till she can look up to her Grammy and go, wow, yeah, that's my Grammy. Look what she's done. So I totally get it. It is absolutely fulfilling, and can literally bring you to tears when you hear one of your kids say that they're proud.
Exactly.
Of you. Yeah. So what does an average day look like as the owner of Little Miss Moffitt?
It starts fairly early. I usually am up and on my computer fairly early, and there's a myriad of things, because as a small business owner at the moment, while I do have people help me bake, I do have people help me package, I am primarily doing 99.9% of everything else. And that means staying on top of my inventory and ordering ingredients and emailing follow-ups to anybody I've been connecting with, both wholesale potential customers, corporate clients. It's staying on top of, oh my gosh, how many more boxes am I getting low? Do I need to order boxes or ribbon? Then it means baking. We bake after hours because I use a commercial kitchen that has to be done with their production, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of just keeps going. Usually somewhere in the day, I do try to take time. If it's warm, I go for a run. If it's not, I'm on the treadmill. I do things to try to kind of get off my computer and get out of my head a little bit, which I find pretty healthy. I probably should do more of it. So it's a little bit of everything, but really that whole thing, that is what I've realized I really love. It's running a business.
Yeah. Well, and there's times in your business and seasons where you're grinding, and there's times that they're not. But yeah, getting up in the morning and really before starting, my day, it's doing my affirmations and my intention, and really creating that space, and my motivational clips. And right before I go to bed, really doing a refresh of the things that were challenging and the things that were positive, so that I can connect those dots and see all of the challenges really led to something positive. And of course, visualization. And then, like Karen said, midday, you need to stop and get away from your computer. I have what I call a refresh. And my refresh is exactly, what you're saying, whether it's getting outside, if it's a nice day, or if it's not, getting in my car and blasting my motivational clips. It's just getting away from the office and having my own personal refresh. It's not to release stress. It's to make sure that stress doesn't stick with me. It just comes in and doesn't stick.
Mhm.
So what do you want people to think of when they think of Little Miss Moffitt?
I want them to think about giving. You think of most cookie companies, you think about their cookies. When you think about this really gourmet basket company, you think about luxury baskets. I want people to think about, who can I send that smile to? Who can I send a hug to disguised as cookies? Because that's what we need more of.
Yeah. Oh, well said. What problems does LMM solve?
Little Miss Moffat.
Little
What
Miss
we
Muffet.
solve is, how do I make sure that the people in my life know that they matter? That's what we solve. And it goes from both personal to professional. So if it's a corporate client and you want them to know, we really value your business, we appreciate you. So that's what we solve. How can we show them? And our packages and a gift note that's included, we brand them with their label if they want. That shows them that. If it's a personal gift, it's that, I don't know what to get somebody, my mother-in-law in another state, you want her to know she matters, as you send something special like that.
Yeah, so true. And going that extra really makes a huge difference for people when they see that you care and you're actually mailing them something special, and nothing more special than a sweet. So what is something that you'd like people to know about Little Miss Muffet that they don't, and want to find out,
I just think,
like, on
again,
your website?
yeah, I think the most important thing is, right now, the media, everything that's fed to you is about a crisis. It's the COVID crisis, the gun violence crisis. I think we gotta retrain our minds to think about more positive things more often, and disconnect from some of that other stuff. So that's what I want people to know. We are a cookie and brownie and bar company, but that's really not what we are. We're a company to send positivity to more people, and that is exactly what I want them to think of. And that's maybe my website, we want to work on it to make sure we're conveying it, but that's what I want people to know about our brand.
Yeah, beautiful, because there is there's so much hatred and stress going on in the world, and more than ever, people need that little
Well, I
extra
think
special.
I think that there's this funny saying. It's like, I want people to one up each other in kindness. Somebody did something
Oh,
nice
I
for
love
you,
that.
right? Go send them
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to put a challenge out there
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah.
Karen. I'd love to be a part of it. So, Karen, last question before I wrap up our show here. What do you see for the future of Little Miss Buffett?
I would love to be a national brand. I see myself on a lot more shelves. I see myself, I do ship nationwide, but seeing it where people just think of, I've got something, I've got a gift, I've got to go, and I am the go-to of what they want to send. So that would be amazing to me.
Well, visualizing it, I can see you there, and I've tasted your sweets, and they are sweet, amazing. So, Karen, a call to action and how my listeners can connect with you.
Just think of us when you have that little special gift and you want someone to know that they matter. They can visit us at littlemissmoffatbaker.com. I have contact page if they want to reach out to me. Certainly anybody can DM me through social media. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and also on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your sweets with our listeners.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. You are listening to the Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, March 5th show. And it's a signing out. As your host, I want to give a final thank you to both of my guests, Stacy and Karen. Thank you for coming into the show. And look forward to talking more money next week, right here on 1150 AM KKNW.